Okay, so I'd like to look at chapter 7 in some more detail, because it is a key chapter in the novel, and we learn quite a lot about why Lou is the way she is, why her family is the way it is, as well. It would be quite a key turning point in Lou's life. So the main themes in this chapter are, we find out a bit more about Lou's insecurity about herself, about her lack of confidence in herself, and also about her awareness of her difference to other people her age. We also find out a lot more detail about Lou's family life, and about the traumatic event that they experienced, and we also then find out more about the relationship, the difficult relationship between Lou and her mother. So if you start on page 44 of your novels, I'm just going to talk you through the first main paragraph. I have highlighted in yellow here 3 instances of the phrase quand j'étais petite. So really this first paragraph is Lou reflecting back on certain things that happened when she was small, and really this is pretty much when Lou realised that when she had to grow up at this point in her life. So she's looking back to when she was small, to a happier time, and then this terrible thing that happened. So that was a turning point, and she no longer felt like a little girl, so she felt like she had to grow up really quickly. So this is her referring back to when she was small, and at the end of the paragraph, she talks about watching her mother when she was small in the mirror. So if you have a little sister, or if you know any little girls, it's quite common for a little girl to watch everything her mother does, how she dresses, how she puts her makeup on, and to admire what her mother does. So this is exactly how Lou was, and she mentions that she didn't realise how fragile this was, and that things could stop just like that, and never go back to the way they were. So this is our sort of first indication of how the relationship between Lou and her mother changes and breaks down. So I'm just going to scroll through this. So you're going here from page 44 on to page 45. I haven't highlighted anything here. So this is all about we find out about Lou's mother's difficulty having another baby, and about their delight as a family when she finally gets pregnant again. Lou is absolutely fascinated about the whole process, and she's 8 years old at this point, and as usual she does a lot of research on the topic and helps her mum with all the preparations. So at this point she still has a good relationship with her mum, and they're all looking forward to this new baby arriving. So again, just to sort of show how excited she was, if you go to page 46 in your book, you will see just about sort of second main paragraph starts, so je sais qu'on en voit. So I've highlighted that. So she's talking about how she knows about all these wonderful scientific things that happen in the world, that you can send planes and rockets into space, and you can identify criminals from their DNA and so on, from a hair. But she just cannot believe, I've underlined this then at the top of the page now, she cannot believe how this little miracle has come out of her mum, basically. So she talks about her sister. She loves her sister Thais, talks about how she feeds her and changes her and so on. Now, I've highlighted this little bit here from page 47, very bottom paragraph in your books on page 47. Ces moments ne nous appartiennent plus, ils sont enfermés dans une boîte. So she talks about these moments, so in other words, the memories of her sister are now closed up in a box, put at the back of a cupboard, out of reach. These moments are stuck or frozen, like on a postcard or a calendar. And they're forgotten in memory, or forbidden in memory and in words. So in other words, when we find out what happens to Thais, we realise that she feels that she can't think about these things anymore. They've all been forbidden because of what happened to Thais. So then we learn from page 48 on what actually does happen. So there's some wee bits of this I'm just going to skim over, but this is a key point. So Thais, Lou's mum, basically finds Thais dead one morning after a sudden infant death syndrome. So Lou is, I'm not sure if she's in bed or not, but she hears her mum scream, and she basically sees her mum trying to resuscitate Thais. Towards the end of page 48, you'll see, I have just highlighted this in yellow, she talks about how she was watching all this going on. Her mum didn't even realise she was there because there was doctors arriving and so on, and then her dad finally realised that she was there and sort of pulled her away to the side. The very last line of that paragraph, il m'a serré très fort dans ses bras sans un mot. So he held me really tight in his arms without a word. And I've highlighted this because this is basically the crux of the problem with their family. This terrible thing happened to them, and they've pretty much moved on without talking about it at all. Certainly not talking to Lou about it, and possibly not even talking to each other. Well, we see that there's low conversations and low voices and so on, but there's very little discussion about this in the family, and Lou is very much left out of the loop. So another wee bit about that then, sort of top of page 49 in your books, it says il y a eu les faire part, les conversations à voix basse, les innombrables coups de téléphone, les lettres, l'enterrement. She talks about all these preparations for the funeral. Et puis un grand vide comme un trou noir, and then emptiness like a black hole. On n'a pas tellement pleuré, je veux dire, tous ensemble. Peut-être qu'on aurait dû, peut-être qu'aujourd'hui ce serait plus facile. So she talks about how they didn't cry over Thais altogether. They didn't cry as a family, and perhaps if they had today, it would have been easier. So it's all very sad, and then she talks about how her family, basically life started up again, and they tried to get on with things the way they were. So in your book on page 49, just about 4 lines down from the top, she talks about her mother. Ma mère était là avec nous, elle préparait les repas and so on. So she talks about what her mum does on a daily basis. She's going through the motions of being a mum, but I've highlighted this, underlined this, mais c'était comme si une part d'elle s'était absentée pour rejoindre Thais dans un endroit qu'elle seule connaissait. So it's as if part of her had gone away to rejoin Thais in a place that only she knew. So there's quite a lot of detail about this, but basically, so her mum is sort of sinking into a depression, and Lou can feel her slipping away from her. She's there, she's going through the motions, but she's not really there in spirit. Okay, on page 49 then as well, we find out that because of all this going on at home, the teacher, Lou's primary school teacher, this is also page 49, asked to see her dad and says that she's concerned about her behaviour, and especially because of all this that has happened. She says that she's worryingly mature. So Lou is sent to a psychologist, Madame Cortance, and after different tests and discussions with Madame Cortance, it emerges that Lou has this has a very high IQ. Okay, so then on page 50 we find out a bit more about her mum's illness. This is about halfway down page 50. Ma mère est tombée malade. My mum got sick. Nous l'avons vue s'éloigner. We saw her move away from us little by little. We couldn't hold her back. We could hold her hand without touching her. We cried. We cried, but she didn't seem to hear us. So her mum is sinking into depression here. She's looking into sort of emptiness. And there's a little bit then on page 51 about them going to on holidays, going to stay with some friends at the sea. Unlike their previous holiday where they were preparing for the arrival of Thais, her mum is so different now. She just doesn't put her swimsuit on, she just stays in the house the whole time. And her dad, Lou and her dad, try to put on a front and enjoy, get into the holiday spirit, but they just can't manage it. Okay, so then Lou goes away, so bottom of page 51, goes away to her grandparents for a month. And after that, we found out that Lou's mum has been put into a hospital for people who are depressed, and that she has been enrolled in a school for pupils with high IQs in Nantes. So Nantes is a good distance away from Paris. So obviously she stays there as a boarding school. We find out then from page 52 that Lou spent 4 years in Nantes. So we know she's 13 now. So basically the 4 years from 8 up to 12, she was in a specialised school in Nantes. It's very clear from page 52 that Lou was not happy there, did not want to be there. I've underlined just to show you, je rentrais à Paris un week-end sur deux, so she came back every other weekend. But when she went to see her mum and so on when she was back, but she just did not enjoy it at all. We know this particularly top of page 53. There's a few wee things. I've highlighted one of them for you. So, pendant des semaines, je rêvais qu'un dimanche soir, mon père dirait, ce n'est plus possible, reste avec nous, tu ne peux pas être si loin. So for weeks I've been dreaming that one Sunday evening, my dad would say, it's no longer possible, stay with us, you cannot be so far away. But that didn't happen. So for 4 years she was in Nantes, and then the last chapter then, or the last paragraph on page 53, we find out that she does eventually get back to Paris again, back to this her bedroom. It's just as it was when she had left when she was 8, so a child's room which doesn't suit her anymore, and she asks to be enrolled in just a normal school for normal pupils. I've underlined this little bit here about Thais. So sometimes I tell myself that Thais would also have had a high IQ, and maybe that's why she just got out of here. So in other words, we realise there that Lou is not happy about being different and having this high IQ and being more intelligent than others her age. She just wants to be normal. Okay, and then on page 54, first paragraph on page 54, Lou talks about trying to get back on with their lives. Her dad has changed his job and they've repainted the kitchen and so on, and she mentions that when people phone to ask about Anouk, her mum, that her dad says that she's getting better little by little. Here we can see that Lou is really, really cross and frustrated about the situation. I've underlined this. Parfois, j'ai envie de lui arracher le téléphone des mains et de hurler à toute force. Non, Anouk ne va pas mieux. Anouk est si loin de nous que nous ne pouvons pas lui parler. Anouk nous reconnaît à peine. Elle vit depuis 4 ans dans un monde parallèle, inaccessible, un genre de 4e dimension. So Lou does not feel that her mum is getting better. She wants to take the phone off her dad and scream at the top of her voice that her mum is not getting better, that she hardly recognises them, that she's been living in a parallel world for the last 4 years, and she doesn't care whether Lou is living or dead or her dad. So it's a real strength of feeling here from Lou about her mum's illness. She talks then about when she comes home. This is in your book, just sort of the last paragraph on page 54. When she comes home in the evening, her mum is sitting in the room. She hasn't maybe got dressed, she hasn't put the light on, and she just goes through the motions, asks her the same questions every day. And Lou refers to this, now this is bottom of the first paragraph on page 55 in your book, I've underlined it here. We're in a kind of role play. She's the mum and I'm the daughter, and we're sticking to our text. So she feels like they're just playing roles, that her mum's not really being her mum. And the key point from this chapter regarding the relationship with Lou and her mum is the last paragraph. So I'm going to read that for you. Plus jamais elle ne pose la main sur moi, plus jamais elle ne touche mes cheveux, ne caresse ma joue, plus jamais elle ne me prend pas par le cou ou par la taille, plus jamais elle ne me serre contre elle. So here we can see that Lou is really missing having her mum close to her, the closeness of her mother, the way they used to be. So she never puts her hand on me anymore. She never touches my hair, never strokes my cheek. She never takes me by, holds my neck or my waist. She never holds me against her. She no longer holds me against her. So there's a real sense of loss in this chapter, that Lou feels that her mother, she's lost her mother as well as her sister. So there's a lot in this chapter, and it's quite hard going, but it is the key. It is the key chapter, and it explains a lot about why Lou's family is the way it is, and why Lou is the way she is as well.